Chapter 219. A colossal, radiant abyss appeared on the ground, its radius perhaps reaching thousands of meters. Who could possibly create such a spectacle? Kangaroo was momentarily stunned, gazing skyward in awe. An attack from the heavens? Above, a rift in space remained, its edges still flickering with the remnants of lightning, as if torn asunder by an extraordinary supernatural force. All fell into silence, every living creature seemingly able to hear their own heartbeat. Suddenly, a series of shattering sounds echoed, striking their hearts and causing everyone to startle. They saw massive, majestic roots piercing the sky and writhing downwards. This bizarre sight instantly horrified the kangaroo crowd. What? Roots, tree roots. But in a blink of an eye, the roots moved at supersonic speed, shooting past everything faster than they could comprehend. The Dark King was somewhat surprised. He knew who was coming, but could this person be so reckless? This was his lair, the Dark King's. Then, his anger turned into madness, and he laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha. His laughter was filled with delight at the sight of this strange spectacle. He shouted, "Finally, finally, you have arrived." Meanwhile, the roots continued to plunge down crazily at an extremely fast speed. The Dark King had a clear view of the rift, where the divine tree resided. He stared straight at the divine tree, knowing that the divine tree was also looking at him. The divine tree came alone, which was laughable, making the Dark King unable to stop laughing. Then, the roots spread out, covering a vast area, and forcefully penetrated the ground. The roots were so large that the kangaroos felt incredibly small. They instinctively followed the movement of each root, still feeling bewildered, just standing there in a daze. A kangaroo voiced his doubt. Is he planning to fight us like this? Even the kangaroos understood. Could the divine tree alone fight against the myriad of monsters here? Not even a 1% chance of victory, not to mention the formidable master behind them. But then, the divine tree roared, 9 roots. Instantly, the entire ground shook continuously. In less than a blink of an eye, all the monsters were pushed together. The speed was so fast that it even caused some monsters who were talking to bite their tongues. The roots writhed on the ground like giant snakes, crushing countless monsters that were swept in. Under the power of this strike, there was only one outcome: death. The chance of survival was only for those monsters possessing extraordinary strength and skills, like this kangaroo, who immediately moved to escape the entanglement of the roots. Of course, most other monsters could not reach this speed. Even the Dark King could not escape. If you are a king, you have the right to watch, so get up. The roots quickly wrapped around the Dark King several times. The speed was so fast that he didn't even realize it, just opening his mouth in astonishment. Look, a piece of the Australian desert has been covered by the pale yellow leaves and roots of the divine tree. The terrifying thing is that the time has not yet reached 30 seconds. The magic squirrel stood looking at the whole scene and exclaimed, "This guy has the power to change the appearance of a region so quickly?" After cleaning up a weak crowd, the divine tree began the battle by opening up the space of life. A large green gate appeared in front of the righteous warriors of the Australian army. This emerald vortex was emitting a domineering life force. Kangaroo immediately closed his mouth and was stunned. He didn't know what this was, but his instinct told him that the horror had just begun. Indeed, a golden step emerged from the gate, followed by the golden ant hero, which was the ant army trained by him. There was also the spider demon human face, the monster that Misty Mountain had captured in the last Iron World collection, then a fiery scale tail, the big sister Ninetails, and the white tiger, the bear ice leader, the dinosaur. Cheesy stepped out, and there was also Ching Chong, who was twisting his neck. Next to him was the leader of the assassination team, Lan Feng, and countless pairs of bloodthirsty eyes behind him. When these people appeared, Kangaroo immediately felt that the situation had completely changed. This group was too strong. All were transcendent fourth order. As soon as Ching Chong arrived, he cast his eyes around and said, "So this is Australia. These guys are all emitting a strong dark energy." Indeed, the monsters here were no longer ordinary monsters. After absorbing the power of the Dark King, they were no different from the Dark King, emitting a strong smell of death. Lan Feng gently cautioned his beloved little sister, "Be careful." The pink-haired girl looked attentively and responded, "Yes." She had never been on a small or medium-sized battlefield, let alone one of this scale. A sense of fear inevitably welled up in her heart. The kangaroo, facing Ching Chong and Lan Feng, true to its nature, would rush out and speak before the battle. "What are you talking about? The smell of death. Ha 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 ha. Those from Misty Mountain. Are you okay with allying with humans? There will come a day when you will be betrayed." Upon hearing this, the elder nine-tailed sister roared in provocation. "Is inciting division your strength? Damn it." Kangaroo thought the biggest humanoid in the group was the leader, meaning Ching Chong, but it turned out that the nine-tailed was the spokesperson. He quickly turned around, adjusted his cool face, and said, "Let's assume that's the case, but you have to ask if you can win this battle first." As soon as these words came out, the entire dark Australian faction began to roar, shaking the entire sky. "Someone, please count for me. How many monsters are there?" They stood shoulder to shoulder and stretched to the horizon, all opening their mouths to roar fiercely, intimidating the enemy. Of course, the one who roars the loudest will be rewarded by the superior. On this side, Misty Mountain, countless monsters also roared incessantly. The number was so large that it was impossible to count. The top row was the first generation of main forces and the mutated monsters nurtured by Misty Mountain. In terms of formation, we can't predict anything. We just know that this battle is truly, truly bloody. On this side, the divine tree went straight into the lair of the Dark King. He was coiling in the cave. Oh no, it seemed that the divine tree had thrown him into another space, that is, the land space. The Dark King casually said, "Do you think it's okay to lock me in here?" The divine tree saw that his old friend seemed worried, so he encouraged, "Oh no, we came to each other with the determination that one of the two must die." After hearing this, the Dark King lowered his voice. "You probably know what the result would be if you killed me, right? The system must have told you." Upon hearing this, the divine tree was somewhat taken aback. How could this creature know about this? The divine tree exclaimed, "Oh my, it seems you know more than I thought." Meanwhile, the roots of the divine tree began to move, writhing and shifting. The Dark King burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha, now you know it's not too late." Then he roared the name of the divine tree loudly, "Zu-Izu." And so, the two final bosses, one symbolizing death and the other life, began their clash. The divine tree said, "Even if you know more, it doesn't change anything." Then the divine tree shot forward, and the battle between the two ultimate bosses, one symbolizing death and the other life, began. Outside, Kangaroo led his army in a loud roar. The nine-tailed fox and the main forces of Misty Mountain also roared loudly. The sound was terrifying, fierce, and bloodthirsty, soaring into the high sky and spreading around, signaling the bloodiest, most brutal battle in history. And so, spiritual power erupted. Countless spiritual bullets of various colors piled up on each other, creating numerous huge explosions. This piece of the continent began to tremble incessantly. Out at sea, human warships were moving, aiming for the Australian battlefield. From a high vantage point, we could see many aircraft carriers of various sizes, along with all kinds of warships escorting them. The commander saw the Australian continent in sight. They were only about 10 kilometers away. He immediately ordered his troops to turn on the radar system. The officer next to him was sweating profusely, his face pale with fear. For in his 20 years of service, he had never seen such a scene. For now, they were on the same front with all the countries in the world. Warships, aircraft carriers, planes, helicopters, and countless naval warfare equipment stretched to infinity. Never before had this old man felt such a heroic feeling, a strange sense of heroism because humanity had become united, regardless of skin color, race, or religion. Everyone stood side by side, bravely facing a single enemy. Suddenly a loud noise rang out. Their warship shook violently. The sea raged angrily. What the hell? It turned out they had just entered the Australian Sea. The officer closed his eyes in horror. Damn it, just entering this sea area, they encountered terrifying shocks. This is what is called a war zone. They were only affected by a single bullet, but from here, They could already hear the terrifying sound of the battlefield exploding. They wondered how many monsters were ahead. At that moment, the panda leader had swum to the location. Just emerging from the water, he could feel the frenzied atmosphere. Instinctively, he gritted his teeth in anger, his blood boiling. Inside the battlefield, even from a distance, one could see countless spiritual bullets exploding in a dazzling array of colors. Anyone unaware might mistake it for fireworks, but if they were close, they would be reduced to dust. The panda leader began to move closer. Damn it, he couldn't see anything at all. It was all smoke and dust. The space was completely flooded with the powerful spiritual power of countless monsters, making the panda leader feel a bit suffocated. Dark Face, seeing countless roots, understood immediately and cursed loudly. This guy fights without any warning. Damn it. The two sides inside were still fiercely confronting each other, showing their most brutal faces and teeth. Of course, due to his small stature, the honey badger chose a different camera angle so that his teeth could be as big as the enemy's. Smart. Behind, the giants of Australia and a large army were still pressing forward, each one emitting a bloodthirsty glow in their eyes. The buffalo demon roared loudly. The enemy has started to bring out giant lizards. The nine-tailed fox immediately ordered, "Let them go." Immediately after, giant ice monsters appeared. After a few cold roars, they rushed forward and swallowed the lizards into their mouths. These were probably lizards, but they were huge and sturdy with their bodies made of solid ice. In no time, they had successfully suppressed the leaders of the lizard army. The thunder dragon flew high. When it had targeted enough, it unleashed a deadly breath of blue. The mouse-like monsters below were immediately submerged and burned by this light, instantly disintegrating. Look, this guy is indeed superior in eliminating numerous targets with medium resistance. Just one blow had killed hundreds of enemies. Kangaroo watched this scene with a broken heart. Damn it, this group was more battle-savvy than he thought. They were not only strong but also had proper tactics. While pondering, a monkey with a mouth full of teeth rushed forward and bit straight into his hand. Kangaroo didn't even detect the appearance of this group, but he saw the kangaroo general use both hands to throw the monkey's mouth away. The next second, the monkey leader was torn in half. Indeed, Kangaroo was not ordinary. Remember that he was the commander of the army, standing only behind the Dark King. The Dark King, enraged, lowered his face and roared furiously, "Keep going, you monkeys! I will tear you to pieces." As these words fell, the monkeys behind him were truly terrified. Witnessing their leader being torn apart, none dared to rush forward. But immediately, a fireball rushed towards Kangaroo at supersonic speed. He didn't have time to dodge, and the fire immediately engulfed a large area. The blazing fire incinerated everything within it. Kangaroo covered his face with both hands, only now opening his white eyes and gritting his teeth in endurance. Although he knew that this damn fire was burning his whole body, causing indescribable pain, he would not scream like a weakling. It turned out that the nine-tailed fox had come to aid in the battle. Indeed, leaders would fight leaders. The nine-tailed fox declared assertively, "Your opponent is me." The ice bear group had also found their black bear opponents and immediately rushed to attack. On this side, the dinosaur, unable to find its own kind, decided to kill the nearby mutated snakes. But on second thought, it seemed that the dinosaur of Misty Mountain hadn't made much progress over the years. Other than growing larger, its nature seemed to remain the same. On this side, a monster that eats ants was massacring the mutated ants from Misty Mountain. It was indeed their natural enemy. With just one blow, it caught 4 ants. The greedy beast put all of them into its mouth, chewing all at once. Just as it was enjoying its meal and hadn't swallowed yet, suddenly a streak of light shot towards it. Damn it, it hadn't swallowed its meal yet. The ant-eating beast was immediately struck, its body probably cut in half, blood splattering everywhere. The golden ant believed that it would be best if this ant-eating beast didn't exist in this world. Indeed, because he was an ant. A giant koala bear next to it suddenly screamed, "You killed my friend? I will kill you. I will bite you into." Before it could finish speaking, a giant foot stomped it flat. The beast died instantly. It was a crocodile. This giant roared loudly. The beast hit by this blow immediately cracked its skin and flesh, suffering brain damage and dying. This was the ultimate skill, Soundblade. Meanwhile, on this side, the ice dragon and the elephant demon were sweeping the enemies under their feet, continuing to charge forward. A few kilometers from the battlefield, a fighter jet was speeding towards the scene. The pilot suddenly caught sight of a horrifying spectacle below. A massive battlefield right on the coast, stretching for tens of kilometers, teeming with countless frenzied monsters. The observer immediately reported to the command center that they had detected thousands of monsters within sight, all fighting fiercely. The Dark King and a mutated tree, the Divine Tree, were also present. Upon hearing this, the commander broke out in a cold sweat. Had they started fighting already? But the fighter jet didn't last long before it was intercepted by a bat. The bat acted like a fighter jet, and the two collided and exploded. The orangutan, wild boar, and honey badger were stunned. Weren't they looking at the plane? Ching Chong and the wind wolves also attracted attention. Damn it! Something made Ching Chong feel annoyed. It was a mature dragon, its entire body glowing red, as tall as a mountain. It stood blocking the advance of Misty Mountain on this side, not saying a word, only a stream of black and red deadly spiritual power shot out. Perhaps Ching Chong's group couldn't dodge in time. The dragon on this side continued to pump spiritual power, wanting to completely turn the opponent into ashes. The spider demon on this side immediately took advantage of the dragon's inattention and shot a bullet. This bullet was formic acid, aimed right at the enemy's eyes. Indeed, this was the most sensitive area. The dragon immediately lost its vision and roared in pain. The spider had successfully stopped its attack. The white monkey approached and launched a powerful Muay Thai-style punch, knocking a few teeth out of the monster. Then came a full-force charge from the wild boar, knocking the monster to one side. Just then, the beetle appeared and launched a double slash, the scythe of death, cutting right at the dragon's neck. The dragon opened its eyes too late. It was hit hard and fell heavily to the ground. Which formation did these four guys belong to? Their combo was so well coordinated as if they had trained together for a long time. Then the four masters of Misty Mountain gathered together, silently observing the dragon. Indeed, the combo just now couldn't take it down immediately. From within the dust and smoke, the dragon's eyes glowed brightly. They had successfully enraged it. End of chapter 220.